was not color, his culture.
Black people have always created the future. We created jazz, we created hip hop, we created rock and roll, we created all these things. And there are people who believe that we don't see ourselves in the future, but we have always seen ourselves in the future.
To bring into existence by any means necessary.
I just wanted to know, do you know about Moor Cemetery?
No, what is it? Whoever is in charge of that did a good job of covering it up because I never even heard of that. I don't know nothing about it.
Not even the name?
Not Darkbird. No.
Do you know about Moor Cemetery?
No, I don't. Update me.
Nestled within these hollow grounds lies the echoes of the past, where time stands still in the embrace of Moor Cemetery. Cemeteries were segregated in America until the mid-20th century. Even Black veterans of America's armed forces were dishonored when buried. Today, Moor Cemetery stands as a monument to the twisted logic of racial segregation. But the cemetery of approximately 100 veterans and civilians also serves as a symbol of perseverance and defiance. On July 7, 1849, James and Jane Benson sold the land to William H. Moore, Stephen Samuels, and Isaac Williams, Board of Trustees of the Moor Cemetery. The land was considered sacred ground to the Black community in Rockland County. That was until it became profitable. I imagine that these Black soldiers would have thought that in death they would have eternal peace. But here they are still fighting beyond the grave against a giant. And that giant happens to be one of the largest mega malls on the East Coast. Owned by Pyramid Company, the mall now has approximately 20 million shoppers per year. But let's take it back to understand how all this happened. So we're headed to the Martin Luther King Center in Spring Valley, New York, to talk with someone who knows all too well about taking on a giant. So what's your name and your title here?
Willie Trotman, and I am president of Spring Valley branch of the NAACP.
Willie Trotman was also president of the Spring Valley NAACP when they won a landmark case of racial discrimination against the East Ramapo Central School District. What's the story with the Palisades Mall in connection to the cemetery?
So as the story goes, one Saturday, people from Pyramid Company came and had breakfast with Dave Smith and Hezekiah Easter, who was a legislator at the time.
Hezekiah Easter Jr. is not only a social justice activist, World War II veteran, but the first African-American police commissioner and elected official in Rockland County under the title of Deputy Mayor and Board of Trustee member in the village of Nyack. Whether it was the soldier in him or the social justice activist at heart, Hezekiah Easter Jr. is the one who led the charge against the giant.
Well, I became president in 77 until about 87. 10 years later, the Pyramid wanted to buy that cemetery area because they had made a deal with Tom Dexter and bought all the properties around it, and they were going to put this large mall in this $200 million mall. So they approached the Cemetery Association to see if they could buy the cemetery plot because they wanted to move. They said they were going to move the cemetery from there to another position of maybe about a quarter mile away. But we decided that that was sacred ground. You couldn't really move those graves in. They'd been there for years.
the Palisades Mall would have that entire area. And they said, no, that area flooded. And it was a great choice. It was a wise choice because even today it floods. Really, really bad floods.
Countless hours spent of digging up public records, calling local officials, and negotiating with the Pyramid Company, Hezekiah Easter Jr. and the other board members finally got the historical landmark certificate, which was a big win. This not only means that a black cemetery will be recognized on a public stage, it means this land will not be able to be dug up or moved by anyone. As we continue our journey through time, our investigation took us to Nyack Public Library to uncover some hidden gems. The recorded presence of African Americans in Rockland County began at the same time that the Europeans arrived in the region. African slaves, free blacks, were part of the Dutch community that settled here in 1687. According to the census records from 1723, nearly 1/5 of the 1,244 inhabitants of the county were African slaves.
And so from that time on, it was utilized as the colored cemetery because of segregation, etc. Back during segregation, remember black people were not allowed to be with white people. So they were their own regiment, and that's where they come up with the 9th and 10th Cavalry. They were at West Point. So the guys that we knew, one lived in Spring Valley and one lived in Highland Falls. But we found that a lot of veterans are in the cemetery, a lot of people from the surrounding areas in that cemetery.
With further research, we were able to find some of the prominent figures buried here. The cemetery holds Civil War veterans like Logan Lafayette, who was part of the first all-African-American 54th Regiment based in Massachusetts, which was also honored with the film Glory, an Academy Award-winning film starring Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. It also holds Spanish-American, World War I, World War II, and Korean War veterans like Henry Cook Jr., who died in combat and attended Nyack High School, and Hezekiah Easter Sr., who was Hezekiah Easter Jr.'s father, which is also why this land was so personal to him. On March 13, 2007, Hezekiah Easter Jr. was laid to rest beside his brother and father. The man who saved the cemetery is the last man buried in Mount Moor. A parking structure and the facade of box stores loom in the distance, held at bay by a soldier and statesman who will forever keep his silent and solemn vigil over these hallowed grounds. With the mall facing some financial struggles, cracking foundation, and the vandalization of the cemetery, it seems as if these black souls buried amid the brick and mortar are crying out for justice. Because if the Pyramid Company developers had their way, this sacred burial ground would have been destroyed. But within the darkness, there is light, with a few locals forming the Mount Moor Cemetery Association of Friends. They're able to continue on what Hezekiah Easter Jr. was doing and take care of this historical landmark of a black cemetery. We also decided to highlight some black-owned businesses inside the mall to highlight these hidden gems, but to also inform them of this black history.
How are you? My name is Steve, and I'm the managing partner of Red Craft in the Palisades Moor.
Name's Miller, co-owner. New York is the nationality. Rockland native, got the store. My boy right here, gangster, feel me? Started a brand up in the town. Now we got a store. Started from the bottom, now we here. Come support us, 3rd floor, Palisades Mall, right next to Charlie's. You know where the...
So what's your name?
My name is Manny.
Our brand, New York is a nationality. We've been doing this for 6 years. Rockland County, New York.
So you guys have a local business, you know, young guys started up. Glad to see you guys are in the mall now.
Thank you.
So where do you guys see your business, you know, in a couple of years growing and expanding?
Definitely growing and creating a bigger community, because I feel like we've been able to do that for the 6 years that we've been doing this. So definitely just be more part of the community, expanding to other areas in New York.
Hello, how are you? What's your name?
Hi, my name is Chad. How are you?
I'm good. And where are we at right now?
Palisades Mall. Like, almost, this is my store. Time to close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you're like, you know, you almost want to close, feel free to come by.
Dollars to help, you know, renovate it after they found out what happened. You know, because, you know, we got to support our Black people. We see Black business here. So, you know, that's just...
So it's like a monument.
Just like the cemetery braving the storm of injustice and erosion, we must all stand fast and stand strong for what's right.
Now I know about Mount Moor Cemetery.
Now I know about Mount Moor Cemetery.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that the mall is finally doing their part and acknowledging the cemetery, because that's very important, especially because they're veterans and African-American minority veterans. So as long as the mall continues to do their part, it makes us very happy to be a part of Palisades Center. Now I know about Mount Moor Cemetery. Spread the word.
If you don't know where you've been, then you don't know where you're going. In order to know where you're going, you got to know where you've been. And so, and I guarantee you, if most of us look back in our history, we can find somebody that we can be very, very proud of, and that go like, yeah, you know. And it makes you hold your head up.